Oh, Jesus! Boys, girls, in-betweeners, we are back with Mortal Kombat, and for the love of God, Liu Kang or Kung Lao, stop hitting yourselves!
Man.
I'm just surprised they didn't do a whole, we may not be able to defeat ourselves, but we can beat up each other sort of thing.
You know, one thing that I'll definitely say I appreciate about bringing the old generation back together with the new generation is that it injects some much needed visual color into the kind of really subdued look that Mortal Kombat 10 had going. And, you know, I remember playing through MK10, the story mode, and one of the impressions that I got from it is that they were leaning a little too hard into the realism aspect of their new visual art style. Like, not that I disapproved of that visual direction, but I also felt like things were too visually dark. And for a game that revels in the fun of weird, brutal violence, things looking too grim kind of undercuts the fun, you know? So I'm glad to see them bringing in more visual flair. The stage designs are another element. We just mentioned that last part where things are more visually varied. But like...
Yeah, the weird symbol on Garrus's chest looks like a heart. Now I'm just thinking of him as like a Care Bear. Look at it. It's like a big old blue heart.
Well, that looks like a giant fuck melee if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, if he were a boss in any other game, that would be his weak point, alright. I do like that he's a character who can literally survive a decapitation, which is probably the worst thing to happen in Mortal Kombat ever for the good guys. It's like, oh,
yeah,
it doesn't matter how many fatalities you use on this guy, he can just get back up and kick you in the face again.
Yeah, he is literally the T-1000 of this game.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you're saying is he's kind of the Jack of the series now. Just a big robot person that you just beat up because he's there.
Yeah. And Tekken Jack
I do...
has a new model every game now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do love the design of the stage, I think, because, like, stages are... I think there's a real fine art to building stages in fighting games, because, you know, you need to make it look as interesting as possible, but at the same time not have it be a distraction.
Yeah.
And I think the stage does that really well.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You know, there's an argument to be made that stages are one of the least important parts of a 2D fighting game. It's not quite the same as in a 3D game, as in a 3D fighter, where the stage hazards would be a thing to consider. Like,
or walls.
Yeah, I mean, like, Dead or Alive lives and breathes by how interesting its stages are. But in a 2D fighter, most of the time the stages don't have anything to add to the gameplay. NetherRealm Studios has added some things to it, like with stages that interconnect that you can knock people from one stage area into the next, or background elements that you can do special attacks with if you're in the right position within the stage and you land a throw or something.
But Street Fighter V flooded with that, where they had the Kanzaki Beast stage, where the stage is partially in the water, so you can't see your character's feet, and the community responded by probably banning that stage from tournaments.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Well, you know...
Liu Kang! We're flying!
It's everything I've always wanted!
When you introduce bad guys that can control time, you have this thing where... You know, they literally can just say, fuck you, and undo your successes. It's hard to write a villain that can do that and have it work. And I'm not going to say that this game totally succeeds at that, because I haven't finished the story mode, so I don't know. But it was a cool moment, I'm going to admit. And, you know, anything that gives me a bit more creepy smiling Chronica is okay in my book.
Draw on their faces while they can't do anything. Draw on their faces while they can't do anything.
Well, do the Jigglypuff thing. Go! Yeah, I mean, really, like, I do give props, because, I mean, like, as I mentioned this before, but, like, facial animation was always such a big bugbear for NetherRealm games, and this game is so good, because there are so many, like, very subtle just tweaks where people narrow their eyes to show indecision and things like that, which really highlight how good it is.
Injustice 2 had some of the same stuff going on, didn't it?
Yeah, Justice 2 was the first game where they really perfected it, and I think that this game they've just like really refined it from that point.
Yeah. I like how the two series play off each other, you know? They can get a bit more experimental in Injustice because they're not tied down to this really long-running franchise from the 90s, so they don't have to be afraid of breaking the mold too hard. And some of that experimentation does pay off for the Mortal Kombat series. Kind of like how Bethesda experiments with the Fallout franchise, and some of the stuff they experiment with comes back in the Elder Scrolls.
I love how Raiden shows up and they're just sparring like they have nothing, like they don't get enough fighting already. It's like, bro, we should totally spar right now. Oh, bro, you're right.
Need to work our muscles.
This game has this game story mode, for as charming as it is, has some transitional issues. Like, it jumps from one event to a later event, and it feels like there should be middle scenes that got cut out and are going to be released on the Blu-ray Extended Edition. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But Lord Ryan, if there's an infinite number of timelines, is every story now a true story?
Yes.
Shut up, Lou.
That is how multi-universal timeline theory works. It's like if you so much as make a decision about what you're going to have for lunch, there is now an alternate universe in which you had ham and cheese instead of PB&J. It's
there is, and that's what I actually really love about the Dragon Ball, and this is obviously something that Nairman will be able to jump in on, is that like when you look at the whole Future Trunks storyline, you realize that not only does Dragon Ball use multiverse theory for its time travel, but actually the Cell they fight in the Cell games is from a timeline that we'd never see.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Super fucks it all up.
That's right. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
But there's like three different timelines for all the variations of like Trunks' original future, when Trunks travels back in time to fight the androids, when Trunks travels back in time, and then Cell travels back in time, and then there's another fourth timeline where they actually fight Cell in the Cell games that we never actually saw. So that's how confusing time travel can get to.
In the Shonen Jump series of all places.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know, Akira Toriyama can write good stuff when he's trying and not just phoning it in.
Because the editor's making him continue, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, the Buu Saga gave us Super Saiyan 3, which is the best Super Saiyan form.
I like that little slight zoom in when Raiden is like, wait, Scorpion? What? Man, times change.
And that was when Raiden knew he done fucked up.
Man. It's amazing.
Also, I think another thing that the games don't get enough credit for as well is the sound design. Because these games have fantastic fucking sound design. The sound effects for when people get hit and like things getting ripped out and like even just robots sound really fucking cool. Like, listen to the swords. Everything sounds really fucking cool.
Yeah, it really lends a lot of impact to everything in the gameplay. To say nothing of what it lends to the cinematic presentation. But you know, this story mode, I said before it's dumb, but it does a lot of what I want from a story mode in a fighting game, and I really think a lot of fighting games should take notes from the way NetherRealms handles their story modes.
A lot of them should have been taking notes from, starting with Injustice 1, really.
Yeah. It's like, okay, the plot's stupid. That's beyond question. It's dumb. But the story mode showcases the characters really well, and that gives you a lot of context to the gameplay. It gives you something to feel about whatever character you're playing before you even get into the mechanical depth of them. And Dead or Alive 5 did this pretty well too, but I think NetherRealms has been doing it the best. And one of the reasons they do it the best is that unlike some other games that have tried similar things, the fights you fight in story mode are both challenging and they're not abbreviated. They are complete 2-round fights, whereas like in the Dead or Alive games, for example, when you fight someone in story mode, you get 1 round. And in BlazBlue, you get maybe 1 fight every 15 minutes or so.
Between the visual novel sections of about half an hour.
Yeah, 15 minutes is optimistic, but sometimes it is half an hour, depending on how fast you read. The Persona Arena games had the same problem, where the story mode was like 90% story, 10% gameplay. The story mode is something
Yeah.
that you can sit down and play through, and you get a pretty even divide between story and gameplay. It's enjoyable, and it's replayable, more importantly, is the thing.
Yeah, I do think highlighting one of those things where you're talking about how the story is dumb and we can all accept that and just enjoy it for how dumb it is that when you listen to Scorpion in this game, he has this very thick Asian accent because he is obviously an Asian ninja, whereas Steve Bloom is doing the voice of Sub-Zero and does not have a thick Asian accent. He's just American Ninja Man.
Yeah. Yeah. When was Frost introduced?
I think it was Mortal Kombat 7 or 8. Yeah, it's pretty late in the game from what I recall.
It's cool to have, ice rivals.
It's cool to have ice rivals. I see what you did there.
Wait, did I do something there?
Cool to have ice rivals.
It's cool
Oh,
to have
goddamn it.
ice rivals.
I didn't mean that.
When you make a pun, you don't even realize.
I remember it was so cool the first time we got maskless Sub-Zero in a game. That was like their first real attempt to differentiate the Lin Kuei from each other. Scorpion isn't even Lin Kuei. He's something else that I don't remember. Whenever you call them ninjas, someone gets on your case, though. It's like calling rings coins. It's like, yeah, okay.
They're different, but...
They're ninjas.
Okay, my personal bugbear is when people say samurai sword, because if someone says samurai sword, I immediately say cowboy gun, because it's the same thing. It's like they have names. Why are you calling it samurai sword? I know it's pedantic and it's geeky, but that's my thing.
It's not a bow staff. That's redundant.
The reason people say that, though, is because when they say the word bow, they automatically think of, like, something you tie in your hair or something you tie a knot in, that kind of thing.
I really love, I have a story that I was, when I was in high school, I had a Japanese class, and my teacher was trying to talk about a staff that a particular Japanese historical figure used, and me being the Ninja Turtles fucking expert that I was at the time, I was like, was it a bow staff? And she looked at me like I was the dumbest motherfucker she'd ever seen.
That's like saying
and she's
RPG
like, no,
games.
it was not a bow staff.
Everyone says RPG games. What do you think the G in RPG stands for? It stands for game. Okay?
ATM machine.
Yeah.
So you didn't think when you were watching this episode you'd be getting an English language education, did ya?
I really do like Frost, though, especially her opening animation where her head sort of is on a cyber tentacle slipping into the rest of her body. Creepy.
Yep. And I get mad though because when you do fatalities on her, she's still full of meat, and it's like, come on. I mean, I get why you did it for the sake of expediency, but couldn't you have made her innards different? Wouldn't that have been cool?
You could, yeah. If they did that on the cyborg characters, they probably should have gone all Samurai Jack and just made the insides this spewing mess of oil gore.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I would have really liked to see that, but unfortunately we don't get that.
It's good to know Sub-Zero still has his classic freeze you in place just to make fun of you move.
He does, but it has a lot of startup on it, so if
Yeah.
you're playing this online and you're playing against real people, it is quite a risky move to use.
Yeah, his projectiles have a fair amount of telegraph to incentivize you mixing up the quick ones with the slow ones.
Yeah, whereas Scorpion's teleport does not. Scorpion's teleport is the opposite, is that it has very fast startup, but it has a lot of recovery on it. So you can punish it if you block it, but the trick is if you fucking block
Yeah,
it.
if there's one thing NetherRealm Studios does do that's kind of annoying, is that they have a lot of characters with really fast teleport moves that make it hard to be defensive. Batgirl in Injustice 1 had another one, but at least she came from above. So, it was a little easier to see it, and she disappeared before she appeared, so there was some telegraph there. But here, there are characters who do things while they're still there that grab you from a distance, from, your feet or something. It's hard to get used to.
Well, speaking of Injustice 1, the funny thing about the argument that you're making against Scorpion's teleport in Mortal Kombat is that you have a block button, and that block button will block in every direction except for high or low. It'll block left and right regardless. So therefore, you can hold block, and Scorpion can teleport, and you will block it regardless of the fact that he is appearing on the opposite side of you. That's not a problem in this game. When they brought him in as a DLC character in Injustice 1, it was a big fucking problem because people couldn't react to block the opposite side when he teleported. So they definitely had to nerf it at least once. I'm pretty sure they had to nerf it twice because it was just so hard to react to in that game and people just bitched constantly.
The fighting game DLC cycle, where the DLC character's too damn good.
They're always either too damn good or too damn bad. There's never like one that's just good.
Joker.
Yeah, Joker's about as close to a medium as you're going to get in Smash Brothers.
Yeah, Joker's one of those characters that's like not super high tier by default, but he's good if you're skilled with him. So
yeah, I was gonna say I don't play Smash myself, but I have heard that he's actually quite like his gun loops are quite good in Smash.
It's notable because like both Bayonetta and Cloud were like disgustingly good when they came out in Smash 4.
Yeah, Bayonetta in 4 was one step away from being Meta Knight and Brawl busted.
Yeah, and then they had to nerf both of them, and they're not remotely good anymore.
Cloud is still
really. I thought Bayonetta was still good.
No, Cloud is still decently good. Bayonetta's kind of mid tier. The thing with Bayonetta in Smash Ultimate is that they nerfed all of the stuff. The thing with her in Smash 4 is that she had weaknesses, just that her bonuses were so overpowered it didn't matter. Once they took away her powerful stuff, her glaring weaknesses really came to light.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how bad a character is if you never get to hit them.